A very good evening, Team Zimbabwe, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And this evening or tonight, we need to take a look on the fall of President ED Mnangagwa. So, President ED Mnangagwa maneuvered his way into power in 2017, then 2018, and 2023. But he has failed to make sure that he ends well. He has actually started destroying himself, which makes it difficult for him to end this second term, which he is into, and is likely going to fall from grace to ashes. And I'm going to take a look on the characteristics of a dictator, and we need to talk more about how dictators survive for long and how they fall so easily. So if you take a look on dictators like King Kim Jong-un, if you take a look on dictators like Vladimir Putin, and take a look on the dictatorship in Zimbabwe, you'd sense a lot of differences there. A dictatorship in Zimbabwe has failed to build its trust in the military or in the army. There is no trust between the military and the dictatorship in Zimbabwe. They don't trust each other. So whatever which happens, sometimes they just follow orders for the sake of following orders, not for the sake of being interested in following such orders. And that becomes a problem. That is the situation which you have in Zimbabwe, where you have people simply following orders because they have no option, which means if they find an option, they would follow the latter. And the dictatorship in Zimbabwe has failed to make the people happy. Go to Rwanda. There is a dictatorship in Rwanda. But the difference between a dictatorship in Rwanda and a dictatorship in Zimbabwe is that in Rwanda, a dictatorship there, it makes the majority of the civilians happy. Yes, there are glitches here and there, but the Rwandan economy is functioning, the currency is functioning, everything is functioning in Rwanda. Then you come to Zimbabwe, and the public is not happy. Nobody is happy, except for a few individuals. For those who seem to be happy, the majority of them are forced to go to the rural areas. People are being forced to love ZANU-PF. But one way or the other, they are not happy because they don't have schools, they don't have clinics, they don't have roads, whatever. So the dictatorship in Zimbabwe has failed to cater for its own supporters or for its own people, and that is a key ingredient when it comes to the fall of the dictatorship in Zimbabwe. And you see that the decisions which are being made are not people centered. They are self centered on the dictatorship itself. So the dictatorship cares about its survival more than about the survival of the people. That is the reason why you are seeing evictions happening willy nilly. They don't care. That is the reason why corruption is so high. They don't care. There is teachers, soldiers, nurses are not paid enough. They don't care. Why? It's because key decisions are made surrounding just a few individuals, not for the people. And that is a recipe for disaster. Then you would see, Kuti, if you go to other countries, they would allow party politics to be natural. But if you come to Zimbabwe, party politics is not natural. You go, there is dictatorship or impose of people from the grassroots to the top. So that is a very big problem. Take a look on the people who are leading district structures. They know somebody at the top. Go to the people who are leading provincial structures, who are leading national structures. These are people who are connected to the top of ZANU-PF. And that is creating a problem because you are leaving a lot of young people who are so ambitious, unattended to, partyless, and unutilized. And that is a recipe for disaster because in the communities they come from, they have support, which means if they want to destabilize your party, they can easily do so. That is another recipe for disaster prepared by President Mnangagwa and his team. So within ZANU PF, they've created a dictatorship environment where Panengorinana Chakadaro for ED who are in charge. And those who are benefiting are those with for EDs. Take a look on what is happening with Wikino Chivai. He's rewarding a few individuals, and that is not sitting well with the rest of the people who will be doing the donkey work, vopiwa matishet votengerwa chicken slice voenda kudzimba dzavo nenzara. But at the end of the day, vana chaplain Piri, vana Sulu, vana Japreza ndo votengerwa mota. Iwewe kumba kwako mwana ari kudzidza akatumba akatonona. Just imagine the experience, Team Zimbabwe. So at times, they will not say it publicly when the people of the opposition are there, but when they are on their own, they are saying these things publicly to say, guys, Ndara ari kutijairira. When you hear people saying Ndara ari kutijairira, it means those people are fed up, and the fall of that dictatorship is very imminent. In other countries, I want to tell you this. When Robert Mugabe understood people like Jonathan Moyo as a critic, he dragged him very close to him, and he started to work with him. He gave him positions, and he silenced him in such a way. If you take a look on President Emerson Mnangagwa, he has failed to drag some critics, even those within ZANU-PF, he has failed to drag them close, give them positions so that they keep quiet. He has failed to do that, which means there are a lot of loose ends which are in this government or this dictatorship. What it means is he is facing the opposition, he's also facing internal critics, and he has made it public that he wants to run for another term. Yet other people were actually planning to put themselves in position. I've been taking a look on people like Wanama Warire. He's out of ZANU-PF, but waitonzwa vachitaura 2028 kana tapinda tichaita ABCD. The major question is, kana mazopinda sei? All these hopes are being thwarted for another time by Emerson Mnangagwa. Remember, these are the people who said, we have lost the succession battle. Let us wait for 2028 so that we come back, recover, and take over. They are now being targeted, and there is no hope for them to actually take over. So you see that all these issues, if you put them together, then you add fuel, which is the civil service. The civil service is the catalyst of each and every government's success. So without a civil service which is committed to the national building strategy, there is nothing you do which will work. Why? It's because when you are implementing a policy in education, teachers are supposed to implement it. The people who create that policy are living large and enjoying, but the people who are supposed to be implementing that are in poverty. They don't have working materials, they don't have enough salaries whatsoever, which makes them reluctant to fulfill these policies. The same applies to each and every ministry you go. The same thing is happening there. So if you take a look, a guy who is working in South Africa in a similar position to a guy who is working in Zimbabwe, they're living two different lives. The other one does have a house, the other one arikuroja, the other one ane mota, the other one arikufamba netsoka. All those issues and gaps, Team Zimbabwe, will actually tell you that these are the signs, clear signs of a failed dictatorship. And when you see failure getting to the point we've gotten right now, then we are doomed. You know, in other dictatorships, you see a dictator will align to democratic principles and tenets to a certain extent. Then ndopaunozoona maissues anenge ari ane dictatorship more pakuti iye haazodi kubva pachigaro, anoda kuramba aripo achitonga. But kumwe kwese uku you would see kuti anenge achiimplementa mademocratic tenets, which means there is democracy on the lower level, but there is autocracy on the upper level. What it means is you're only having squabbles when it comes to the presidium, who is going to be the next president. That is where you have some squabbles. But going down, there is democracy happening. And within ZANU-PF, they failed to deal with that, because even if you take a look on the MPs who win, vanotoriga kuti vanhu vavo vapinde kwese kuzasuku, vanenge vane zvavari kungoita chete zvidobi kuti vanhu vavo vange vachipinda pamapositions iwayo, who will never criticize them or go against them. And that is a recipe for disaster, because these people will never tell you the truth. These people will continue to bootlick each and every day. They will never tell you the truth. Even if you are going in the wrong direction, they will never come and point out to say you are going in the wrong direction. And at the end, you fall. So this is how President Emmerson Mnangagwa's dictatorship is falling apart. Everything is now failing to hold. That is the reason why they've started 2030 people, because they're trying by all means possible to make sure that they suppress everyone else, and they want to emerge victorious vari pamusoro. In a normal society, it is the people or the party members who are supposed to be saying tinoda mudhara kuti arambe aripo, not kuti you hear the leadership at the top starting to run slogans dzekuti 2030 ninganenge achipo. It's an imposition which is happening. If it was a situation of the people from the grassroots saying toda kuti arambe aripo, it was going to be convenient for him to be there. But it's because those at the top are saying ngarambe aripo, they are opposing what the grassroots wants. At this moment in time, toda kutaurana chokwadi, pasina kurovana, pasina kutukana, pasina kuvhundudzirana, President Mnangagwa will not even win 30% of the vote. He will never win that percentage. This is the honest truth. And ZANU-PF people knows about it. But he's reluctant when it comes to advice. He doesn't need to listen to any other voice to say, ndarapa murukufoira apa napa napa. He will tell you, I'm doing correct. He has surrounded himself with people like his family. They will never tell him the truth. They will never want to see him understanding what is actually happening. But do you know, in the end, dictatorships fall because there's a possibility of a military coup. There's a possibility of a foreign intervention, or they will be forced to negotiate with the opposition and leave, or there will be a popular revolution happening. So these are the four ways, and these are the four things this dictatorship in Zimbabwe is facing. And you will see, once you reach such a position or such a point, then there is no turning back. It means you are dying in exile. It means you are dying a painful death. It means all your people are also being removed unceremoniously, and you will be somebody without a legacy even to point at. That is where we are going to at this moment in time. So they will be happy for the time being. They will continue to abuse the state institutions for the time being. But going forward, it will be something else. Remember, it's not everybody who is agreeing with what this government is doing. A lot of people are disagreeing with this government. What it means is they're doomed. They are doomed because it's a matter of time. One day, you start to see everything falling into place and you start to understand some things. So personally, when I'm taking a look from the month of March going forward, it is going to be a very tense period. Why? It has been made public And President Mnangagwa has not said anything about the 2030 Tinenge Chipo. If he had said, I'm going to stand with what the constitution say, he would have toned down these seekers, which is happening at this moment in time. But he has failed to do so. So it started by the youth in Masvingo saying 2030 Mnangagwa Chipo. Then it followed the provincial chairperson of Masvingo saying 2030 Mnangagwa Chipo. And then it was hijacked by somebody who is in the presidium saying 2030 Mnangagwa Chipo, which means there is collusion to try and stop someone else from taking over. That is a recipe for disaster. And that cause that this man is going to unceremoniously fall. So it is what it is. And I'm sensing danger going forward. And we'll continue to watch and see what is going to happen. But this is my view. And I've tried to talk about what they could have done better to stay in power, but they failed to do so. So these key issues we have talked about around 7 things. They've failed to do those 7 things, which means the fall is imminent, and when they fall, the impact will be too hard to comprehend. So let us meet in other episodes as well as at the broadcast. Thank you very much for coming.